YouTube. Guess who made this? Yes, another. This one is used to be a Jim Deacon, so it's got the smashing gloss neck, the Clausen tuners, a two-way truss rod. Yes, this is a shorter scale. If you put it up, there's a normal size Strat. See, it's smaller. I actually had one of these before, and it wasn't until I was trying to put a switch in between the two knobs, and I was going to drill a hole. It was like, why is there no room between the knobs? And it's like you go, it's a short guitar. So I didn't even know the scale is about to be checked. I don't know, 24 maybe, something like that. Not super short. 24 inch. So a Gibson's 24 3/4 inch, and our Fender's 25 1/2. So it's shorter than a Gibson, but not hugely. There's less of a difference between a Gibson and this than there is between a Gibson and a Fender. So wee, but not really that wee. Still well within usable parameters, which you struggle once you get down below 24 inches. 22 1/2 inches kind of alright. It's once you get down to 21 and 20, it's like you really want to be putting 12s or 13s or something on it. This has got 9s on it. It should probably have 10s. It's a little bit bendy, but not unplayable. And then this stupid squeaky strap, I need to... the squeak is extra. You only get that if you use one of my straps. Yep, so playing to the orange TH30 there behind me. The squeaky strap is really doing my head in. I really need to look at a strap for demoing guitars that doesn't have a squeaky bit on it. That's position 4, neck pickup. Middle position, never use that. The squeaky strap is completely doing my head in. I wish I could find something to... How can I make it not squeak? Put it at an angle. Just put these strings back on it again, and the strings that were on it, so they're not particularly holding once I've been playing it yet. G, that was the one. Distortion. Bridge. watching a video with Paul Gilbert talking about solos yesterday. And he said, it's like, going into solos, always think fast notes and slow notes. But I quite like that idea, so you can kind of... Well, we're now a couple of minutes in, so I have to play a wee bit bass. And I'll come back to that with some distortion in a minute. I've just, I'm going over to Jen's this afternoon. I'm going to get the headstock painted on this to match up. I know it's an encore and there's a slight perverse pleasure about turning up in a band and playing an encore guitar, but the headstock would be better. I also found this awesome bridge just when I was looking for something else. You can't even really see it, but a black bridge, which is going to look good, which also puts into the problem I've got with the tuners now. These tuners are alright, but might as well upgrade everything, really. There's not that much to it. I've already put a new pickup in it, upgraded the paintwork, so stick that bridge on it. I've got an Eddie Van Halen tone control, so I'll put that in it. I'll put a proper CTS pot in there. And then tuners, I've got a set of Gotos, but do you know how much Goto tuners cost? 25 quid, which I thought wasn't bad. That's for one. But, oh, I think it's about 80 quid for the set or something like that. Right, okay. But I'm thinking, make that black. These are going to have to be black as well. I do actually have West Tone Spectrum tuners, which I might put on. They're actually on my West Tone Concorde just now, but I've kind of fallen out with that bass. I never really got it working. I had a problem with the active circuit and just gave up at it. So I might nab the West Tone Goto tuners. There's actually a few guitars I've not even seen yet that Jen's done. Last time I was over, she took a Washburn Raven and a Yamaha RBX bass that I had. I basically never got around to finishing. And I've suspiciously not seen any photos of those ones. When she was doing those two, she did about 6, maybe 4, another 2 or 3 guitars, or 3 or 4 guitars. I've seen pictures of them, not seen pictures of one of them. I imagine they're completely different. I saw them after half an hour or something, but they completely changed. After half an hour they look amazing, but then they end up looking like this, and this just gets more and more complex the more I see it. So I'm a wee bit worried about losing what the amazing sound this bass has by changing the bridge and the thingy, but it's only going to make it better. I was actually worried about changing the pickup because I didn't want to lose what it had, but basically what changing the pickup did was it still did everything it did, but everything was just a wee bit better, and I think that's what happens with the bridge and the tuners. It's just exactly the same but a wee bit better. was actually watching Clement the other day. Music is Fun. Check out his channel. He was playing bass along to something, and we bought an Ibanez RG bass, which looks pure amazing. But you could really see he was starting to get the hang of the bass, getting a wee bit carried away with it and stuff. It's like good to see him. Bass is awesome. I played it for a minute there. I could have done that for an hour. No bother. No one ever uses a bridge. This is a really, really bright green. See, with the angle when you're actually looking at it and you're playing, you can actually see the backs of the strings reflecting off it because it's so green. So the tuners look green and the thing looks green. How did I stop that speaking? Yeah. Yes, so tremolo, I don't think this is the correct tremolo arm. I believe the ones you normally get on the small ones are slightly shorter, like 2 inches shorter. So it's got a full size tremolo bar. So, what guitars are going to see this afternoon? I don't know. I've seen Jen's done a couple that kind of look a bit like Worms. Actually, quite a lot of them kind of remind me of you. I've watched. I didn't watch all of it. I'll be honest. Ant-Man, the multiverse or universe or something like that, and it kind of reminds me a bit of that when they go down to microscopic size. That kind of atoms and shit. A lot of Jen's that kind of looks a bit like that kind of thing. But I mean, obviously, it goes, look at it. Let's see, they're all signatured as well. But I mean, these are works of art. Look at them. I think one of them's already sold. The one that did a video of yesterday, I think, sold to a girl in America. So it's just like, if you want one of these, just buy it. I think this one's still available. You'll never find another one. There'll never be another one like this. I mean, that's the thing. It comes down to, if you've got tons of money and I've got a couple of Les Pauls, a few Fenders, a couple of $2,500 Les Pauls, and which lots of people do have thousands of pounds worth of guitars. You don't have one of these. I dare say, stick this into a room with half a dozen really expensive guitars, a couple of Les Paul standards, a couple of a Strat, a Telly, American Telly, Put them in a room and then put this in the room. Most people, I would walk in and go, "What's that green one? That looks cool," Missing out all the expensive ones. So I might maybe having a wee bit of a jam in Jen's back garden if the rain stays off. Trying to do a wee bit of a demo of these, because I mean the thing is that the guitars are wired by me. I've not done any fancy wiring in these because they're not mine. I could tempted to put like a Gilmore switch in, an extra pickup, blah blah blah, to get the full shebang. I'll do that. Jen's not seen that yet. I'm going to do it with one of my ones. I'll do the stupid switches and something a bit fancier. Because it's dead easy to do. I kind of don't want to do it. It's like, especially trying to explain to someone. There is the possibility. I mean, the price that these goes for. I mean, how much does a painting cost? Like a painting's thousands of pounds in it. So it's basically it's cheaper than a painting. So I don't even know it's whether it's actually worthwhile making these guitars really good, because I mean they're good. This has been Scott's been at this one, so it's got fret jobs and all that. Would I maybe want to put a humbucker in the bridge? Maybe if this was mine. I know it's a really common thing to say, but the HSS thing is awful good. I remember I watched Blacktooth Fox and Fox's Guitar Channel both did their ultimate field could only have one guitar, and they both chose an HSS Strat. So I was like, I'm not fucking choosing that. I'll choose something else. But just because my wee Red Roadster, it just does the lot really. So I've got like a Super 70 and then two really weak single coils. It just kind of, that's really what you get away with. I noticed when I was in Cranking House, the band, when we were playing our own stuff, I could play a Strat or a humbucker guitar, no problem. It was fine. It was only when we went on to playing, we did a couple of like a Judas Priest song, and when we were playing Breaking the Law and you're playing it on a single coil, it's like it doesn't sound right. Whereas all the original stuff that I wrote or we wrote, it didn't have a recorded version that you go, oh, that should be a single. So it was just like, oh, it's different using different sounding guitars and stuff like that. There was no set, whereas once you get to Breaking the Law, you really need metal. You can't really do anything else. So it sounds alright there, actually. But I think, and see, if you put 10s on this, it would feel like 9s. Because if you put 10s on a Les Paul or an SG or Gibson scale, and you put 9s on a Telly or a Strat, they're the same tension because they're slightly longer scale. So I reckon if you went the other way, if you put 10s on this, it would feel like 9s with the same tension as 9s on a Strat, is how I think it works. Or something very approximate to that. And as I said, they're bendy, but it's not. It's basically, I was always 10s, and then one time I couldn't get 10s, so I bought 9s, put them on it, found them awful bendy and useless. Now I like 10s, 9s better. This is just another step towards that. So this would be like maybe the equivalent of having, I don't know, 8s in a Les Paul or something like that. But I mean, it's totally playable, and it's like you don't have the problems you get with a lot of short scale guitars, which is it doesn't matter what you do, they just don't play. A lot of these wee sort of kiddies ones, it's just for kid learning. It's like you're never going to learn on one of these things. You know, the wee stupid one with the, I've got one through there. One with the speaker built into it. You can't really. It's not really a guitar. This is. It's kind of almost a shame that it's small. I mean, the thing is, you really don't miss anything. All the proportions are right. It's just when you start looking at it, something looks a bit off. And the thing that looks a bit off is the pickups are too big, and the knobs are too big. Because the pickups, the bridge, and the knobs are all standard Strat size. Everything else is like it's like they've not just made it, like a smaller body. They've made the whole thing just 5% smaller all the way around. Everything apart from the pickups. So the pickups look dead big on it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what my Washburn Raven looks like. It was looking unbelievably good. Like halfway through the painting process, it was kind of orange and red. It had a red neck, and I'd asked Jen not to paint the neck because I quite liked the fact that it was red. So she's kind of gone for a sort of reddy theme, and it's looking amazing. And I'd imagine there's another one. The last couple she's done kind of look a wee bit like remember Earthworm Jim? I don't remember it, but I've seen it. I watched a video the other day on YouTube. It's like a cartoon worm. Kind of looks like him. It's like worms, cartoon worms or something. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if normal people. I don't know what do you see in this. I kind of sort of see. I don't really know. I also asked Jen to do the tops of the guitars to pay special attention, and she totally has, because when you're playing it, that's the bit you see. Bit of that. Yep, so off, I've got some other guitars in, so I'll have some more guitars during the week that aren't J-PAX numbers. Again, number-wise, I don't know, but they will be numbered because Jen's asked for a shot of my metal hit with a hammer number punchy thing. Things which I bought, never used yet, so I might just sell them to her. I got them in a charity shop for like £8 or something, so I might just... That means if I ever really need to use them, I can borrow them back. I quite like the idea of these being numbered. Again, I don't know where this sits. At the same time as that one I was doing last night, the one that kind of looks like stained glass. This one, I think there's 4 in that batch. When I say they look similar, I don't mean they look similar because they don't look similar, but this one. Look at it. I mean, my God, this look amazing. Oh, I've got the back plate there for this. I'll put that on it. Is it in there? Yes. But yes, so I mean, from progression, I'll show you a bit of progression. So this is 3. My strat's still over there. So you kind of went from that. That's maybe a little bit more advanced than this one, which is so you can see the kind of letters and where they're going. And then after these ones were done, the next one she did was this one, which is kind of going. You can sort of see it going into those ones. I mean, look at that. This has a Perspex scratch plate, which I thought was just going to look shit. Totally wrong. It looks absolutely amazing. Totally thinking of buying the Perspex scratch plate for the Flying V and putting white pickups in it. I don't think it would work the same if they were black pickups. It's the fact they're white and they're sitting there, and obviously I did an especially neat job wiring behind them to make them look great. But I mean, look at that for a guitar. I think this is a Squier, this one, or it was a Squier. So I mean, to make it giggable, I mean, it's giggable. That's the thing. It's like, these are perfectly good guitars. If it was going to be your main guitar and it was like gigging it, yes, you could buy DiMarzio pickups or Fender pickups and a high mass bridge, locking tuners, whatever. You're kind of there. And it's like a lot of the difference in guitars, I've said this a lot of times, is not necessarily the main difference between like an American Strat and a Mexican Strat is how much time they spent doing the neck, really more than anything else. That's where some of the Japanese ones are really sickening, like something like that, the FGN, which is not expensive parts, or it's just really well built. They they spent time getting all the frets level and tweaking it and oiling it and doing all that crap, which obviously takes time, which does add, if you've got to add, even if it's half an hour for somebody to spend, a skilled person, not somebody with pressing a button, it'd have to be a skilled person for half an hour. That's adding 40-50 quid onto the cost of building a guitar. The cost of building it, not the retailing thing. So you're selling your Squier at 150 quid, that comes out the factory for 30 quid, something like that. So that's why you don't want to spend that again on doing the necessary tweakings, which you would get, like if you look at your Gibson custom shops at $6,000 and the Fenders and stuff like that. That's where the difference is more. Okay, there is a bit in having a fancy paint job or slightly more expensive tuners, but really it's the amount of time spent making it right by someone who knows what they're doing. Is why I think if you took like just an off the shelf, 1,200 quid Fender USA Telecaster and the $3,000 one, with the 1,200 quid one, if you spent time working on the neck and just finessing it, you're going to end up with a $3,000 one, really. Apart from the looks and what of the fancy paint and all that. But I mean, there is something to be. I'm still not sure about tone wood and whether it really makes any difference at all and all that stuff. What does make a difference? I know that if you made a guitar out of the most expensive tone wood and made it shitly, got Harley Benton to build it for you, you're going to have a crap guitar. Whereas take, a palette, give it to Ibanez, you'll get a really good guitar after it. You might get skelfs off it or something, but it'll be good, as opposed to taking a slab of the finest Honduras mahogany, giving it to Harley Benton, and then they'll just get somebody to put the bridge in like this. Next, that it's like not the same thing. So all these guitars have had work done to them to make them play much better than they should. It's the same with the Buckycasters and stuff like that. You know, it's like, how come you're selling a Squire Buckycaster for 150, 175 quid? Because it doesn't play like a normal one. As soon as you play one, you know it. I mean, everyone's ever played a Buckycaster's going happy, oh, that's great, 150 quid or something. Ah, that's great to play it and go, but wow, this is really good. And it's like, oh yeah, that's why it's 150 quid. If it wasn't painted like Bucky and I hadn't spent ages working on it to make it play like an absolute beast, it would be a £50 guitar. Actually, I've got a guitar and a Telecaster. I don't know if I'm going to do my Saturday special. I can't really bother doing that. It was too difficult. Got an American Telecaster that cost 1,500, 1,700 quid, 1,200, something like that. A pal bought, and the thing plays like a piece of shit. The action's like this. You could ski down it. It really is. And it's like whoever it was bought that, spent over £1,000 on a guitar, and it doesn't play as good as this. It just pure on doesn't. Give me 10 minutes with it, it'll play better because it's £1,000 Fender. But currently, and it's so many people have guitars like that, and I know it's like that whole, what do you really have to show for it? You know, it's like, oh, I've just spent £900 on a guitar. You want me to spend another £100 on making it play well? On a £900 guitar, you expect it to play well anyway. But I mean, every guitar needs set up. It costs £100 to set it up. Whereas that's where if you buy the £150 Squire and spend £100 getting somebody to set it up properly, it'll play way better than the other ones, but it's still the £150 Squire, so it's not worth any more money. You know, it's like, it's possible that one of those Squires, 1 in 50, will actually be really well set up just by chance. You know, it's like, it just happens to be adjusted right and the temperature flowed with it and everything went fine and all the frets went in perfect and all that, and you just end up with an absolute peach of a guitar. It happens. It does happen. It's even possible you get a Harley Benton like that, where just by random chance, 1 in 100, they put the bridge in the right place, and all the frets went in, and you know, all these things, everything just accumulated to get one that was just like actually really good without needing any work done to it. But that's where the difference is with the Japanese ones. I mean, I've said this before about the West Tone Thunders in particular. They're all exactly the same. It's because if they don't work, they're worked on until they work, until they're awesome. Every one of them. The same with pretty much all the early 80s Matsumoto guitars are all the same. I'm not really necessarily talking so much about setup, because setup can change over years. Now, all these guitars are 40 years old. It's more just the finishing and the putting, you know, just getting the frets absolutely right, and you know, everything, just neck pockets, all that stuff is important. I still haven't decided what I'm going to do with this flying V-neck. This is, I was told this is a Hondo neck. I'm not sure it is in this flying V, but it's like, this was in it when I got it, and it does have the wrong headstock. But I mean, that's not bolted on, and I'm just one of those thinking that if the neck fits that well into the pocket, that's got to be a good thing. So it must be good. It's whether I might take this over to Jen, see what you think. See, I've drawn it to make it a bit more flying V-shaped headstock. I don't know whether I want to do that or not. I'm kind of thinking, see if I could actually get Jen to sort of paint it. You can't really see what I'm talking about, can you? There, see, I've kind of, the bits that I've kind of drawn round and hatched off. What's with it not being able, there, like that. But it's a bit thin for a flying V headstock. I don't know what to do with it. See, it would be tempting to see the bits that are on the edge, just paint them black and then do fancy bit in the middle, which means it will be, if you're standing in front of something black, it'll be a flying V headstock, but I kind of quite like that idea. So, fun. So, and I promise I'll get some guitars that are not these during the week, and then I'll come back with more of these. Haha, rock on.